dude, have you ever been in a situation where you knew exactly the right thing to do and you did the wrong thing? I was like, yeah, of course. He's like, that's Darkseid Is.
This is Matt Dorville with SYFY WIRE, talking to Tom King, writer of Batman and the very popular Mr. Miracle.
Wait, very popular? So Batman not very popular then? I like this. This is a good lead-in.
Batman is always very popular.
Breaking it here.
Yes.
Batman is down, Mr. Miracle is up.
But
Change the dynamic.
The trend of Mr. Miracle, though, is pretty astounding. Right now, on its third printing, people are going crazy for this comic. Tell us about it.
I got together with this artist, Mitch Gerrits, who's my favorite artist in comics, and I happen to work with him. Mr. Miracle is about this current time and place that we're in. It's not about the politics of today, but it's about the insanity of today. The fact that, like, every day I seem to wake up in a world I kind of don't recognize anymore. And at the end of the day, I kind of feel more scared than I did yesterday. And things happening that just shouldn't happen, you know? But both in, I mean, everything from the politics of it to the Cubs winning the World Series. It's just like, to 5 hurricanes hitting America in the same month. It just, the world doesn't make sense anymore. So we're trying to capture that emotion, that paranoia, in a comic book about a guy who's trying to escape life.
Wow, it's that's heavy, but at the same time, it's very
but what's
just
punching.
engrossing. Yeah, but it has also a 2-word phrase of Darkseid Is all the time going through the issue. Is there anything that you could tell us about that specific phrase?
Yeah, I thought Darkseid was kind of a lame villain when I sort of first approached it. I hesitate to admit that, but I'm on as well. And I was talking to a webcomic creator named Julian Lytle, and he was telling me about I was like, yeah, Darkseid's lame. He's just kind of like Thanos, but in the DC universe. Whatever. He's like, no, you don't understand. It's Darkseid Is. I was like, well, that sounds funny, but what does that mean? And he's like, dude, have you ever been in a situation where you knew exactly the right thing to do and you did the wrong thing? I was like, yeah, of course. He's like, that's Darkseid Is. I was like, what? And he's like, have you ever been in a situation where everything can go wrong that does and you just get crushed that day? I was like, yeah, Darkseid Is. And I was like, that's what Darkseid is, man. It's that darkness that lurks inside the whole world that you're always kind of facing. It's always on the edge of you, man. That's Darkseid Is. Darkseid's not a person. He's that emotion. He's the opposite of life. He's anti-life. And I was like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now, I mean, because, you know, everyone's had those moments in their life where you're just like, everything falls apart for you, and that's what Mr. Miracle is about. It's about a guy who was raised by his worst enemy, who was sort of tortured in his childhood and has that sort of darkness inside of him, and that's what Darkseid is. It's that sort of that thing that pulls you down that you can't overcome.
Well, let's turn towards Batman, which you've had like such a celebrated run, especially after
that's like the
Scott
most deep
Snyder.
area. Also, there's punching.
Yeah, no, and there's a lot of punching. But Batman, tell us, taking it up from Scott Snyder, swooping in.
I've heard of him. What I'm supposed to say is that, you know, I wasn't intimidated. I was totally confident. It was so easy to do. That was like a total lie if I said that. I was scared. It was hard. And I honestly think, I hate to say this, but I stumbled a little bit out of the gate. Like, I was too intimidated by the character because Batman's been written for 78 years in every medium. And I was just like, I don't know how to relate to this character. He's super perfect. I couldn't get it right. And it took me a while to sort of see how to make him good. And of course, the only way you make something good is to bring yourself to it and to bring sort of your own emotions or whatever. And so then I got to do that. And then I found what was cool about Batman to me, and then hopefully that projects onto the character.
Well, how is it like also working with Joshua Williamson's Flash, and you guys combined the stories really well? You in that with the comedian's badge, all that, bringing it together. Is it daunting? Was it easy?
It was super. Josh Williamson is one of my best friends in comics, and so it was just like, and we're super nerds. We're like not, you know, like there are some nerds in comics, but Josh and I are like, if we sit down, we don't talk about anything else but like panels and pages and who's doing this and did you read that and so it's almost like when you were in high school and you had that one friend that you could talk to about anything. That's what me and Josh were just like, let's talk about. So it was so easy to work with him. The hard part of that was, like, you're working on the Button, which is Jeff Johns' like spine of the DCU. It's turned into this event, Doomsday Clock, that's coming up, which I just read the first pages of last night, and it's one of the most brilliant things I've ever read. So you were playing with sort of parts of someone else's story. And I don't want to mess up Jeff Johns' story because, so that was the hard part, sort of playing that angle into it, to not mess up someone's story while trying to tell my own. That was the hardest.
Well, even individual issues, you seem to have really kind of captured your own story in a way that was just You put the Tom King kind of spin on it. And one I was wanting to talk about.
Great interview, man. Did my mother put you up to this? If she did, you're doing a great job. I'll compliment her. Man.
Thank you. But the fight against Reverse Flash, I think, is going to go down as one of the best in history, where you look at the time as it goes by.
Yeah.
Can you talk about making that specific issue and how you looked at time and space into creating that fight?
So when they first came to me with that idea, because again, it was someone else's story, so they said, okay, this will be a fight between Reverse Flash and Batman somewhere in the issue. And I was like, what if it's the whole issue? Because that's what I do. I take some small idea and blow it up. And then they're like, okay, great. So how does Batman fight Flash? Does he have like a secret yellow sun that he keeps in the cave, you know, that expands, and he has some other dimension he ports him into, and this and that, and he has some part of his suit that temporarily makes him. I was like, no, I hate all that. Batman's not Iron Man, you know? Yeah. Batman's Batman. When Batman goes into a fight, all he fights with, he's got 2 fists, he's got a batarang, and his will. Like, that's bad. It's like, how does that guy fight Flash? That became more interesting to me as a concept than sort of doing it all these sort of big sort of Deus Ex Machina he has in his belt, you know? So then I was like, he's not gonna win. Like, he can't, a guy who moves faster than the speed of light, how do you beat someone like that? And then I was like, this fight will take about a minute. And I was like, oh, I can do the comic, it's just a minute. And I love sort of nerding comic stuff, and of course all comic books is the whole thing is controlling time, right? That's all you're doing. And so the idea of actually putting the actual time it takes between each panels, I was like, that's really cool because we can sort of play with the form and while making the fight cool. And so that's how it became about, and it was just a 1-minute fight.
Okay, what's to come for Batman?
So, spoilers for Batman 32, but it was spoiled in USA Today, so. Batman got engaged to Catwoman. That was the big thing that happened in Batman. And so this is big. In the history of Batman, 78 years, you've never seen the main Bat title, Batman engaged and in love on this level. It's just never been done. And to find something new, someplace to put Batman that you've never seen before, that's a hard thing to do. Because you can't write a Batman that's darker than Frank Miller. You can't write a Batman that's more postmodern than Grant Morrison. You can't write a Batman that's more mysterious than Scott Snyder. And so what we're adding to Batman is something that's never been added before, which is happiness. Like, you add happiness to a guy who lives off of fear and pain, and then that creates automatic conflict. So what you're doing in Batman now is you're seeing his friends and his family deal with him sort of trying to find happiness. So what you're going to see is you're going to see Nightwing, you're going to see Jason Todd, you're going to see Damian. Damian, who's his son, biological son, reacts to the fact that he's getting engaged to a criminal. That's what Batman does, war on crime, is getting engaged to a criminal. And then after that, you're going to see Aquaman, you're going to see Superman, you're going to see Cyborg, you're going to see the whole Justice League. So it's this big thing where the whole world is reacting to Batman having done something insane, and it's cool.